Dangerous Toys, Part 14. ACC was waiting. The director felt that that was most of his job, waiting to see if he had pushed humankind a little further into the dark or away from it. The first pebble in this particular avalanche had been the engineers' discovery of what was now just called a Q ship, a Trojan horse free to transport any damn thing it wanted right into the heart of Earth space. Now bigger rocks were starting to tumble as her report was threading its way through to mankind's assets and allies, and more were being kicked over. His AI interrupted. "Director, the Dangerous Toys AI reports the detonation of a Level 6 response. Telemetry is clear. It appears to have been successful. The ship reports he is about to begin running for the Wellerman orbital immediately and will be out of communication unless intercepted." The AI paused. "Sir, he reports 20 pursuing enemy frigate-type vessels. Captain O'Neill has executed a flare attack on the pursuers and has released a testament." He called up the ship on his screen. A heavy trader, almost no weaponry, and O'Neill wouldn't have done anything about that. The engines were a different story. He sniffed to himself and muttered, "Run, you clever girl. Run!" He turned back to the AI. "Inform the Wellerman that they have incoming. I'll see if the fleet can help. What do you make of young Oscar?" His AI laughed. "Sir, he's a boy playing soldiers. I have hopes for him. Although I can tell you that his parents are going to be seriously unhappy with the engineer if she doesn't get him home safe." The director shook his head as a new problem arose. AIs tended to count someone as their child if they had created a 30th of the code. It made for a lot of displeased AIs wanting to talk to him. Oscar was feeling a little lost. According to his captain and the XCC, he was doing fine, and he was determined to continue. Currently, he was building his first avatar and scanning deep ahead to find his allies. It was up to Patricia what happened next. Patricia watched from the bridge, standing beside the captain as the ship accelerated into the dark. She was watching the readouts as they spun up and the scanners as they reached out looking for their enemies. The captain took a deep breath and found the crew calm and determined. Good. He turned to his engineer, but here was the problem, or at least a change. "Patricia, I'm afraid you are just going to have to admit it. We can't have any confusion when someone is trying to kill us. The humans, your HDF, have made you captain and made me exceptionally wealthy along the way. I know it's a bit of a shock, but you need to suck it up and take command. I'm a trader and I have never served a single day on a military ship. Stop trying to put a round plug in a square hole. I thought you would have learned that on your first day in engineering school. You gave me my ship back from these pirates, and now I will be offered another one. But now she is yours, and you need to get used to it." He grinned a little. "And that includes sitting in the big chair and talking to the crew." Patricia was, she felt, having a bad day, fighting off pirates, launching frightening death into the stars, and now her captain was handing over the hot seat with the sort of inevitable logic that she would expect from an AI. She knew he was right, it was blindingly obvious, but it still sucked. Longnose chided her. "The crew already know this. They are waiting for you." The bridge crew watched as the captain practically pushed the engineer to his command console and watched as she sat down and fiddled about with the screens. Then she lowered the height of the chair. Finally, she cleared her throat. "Attention all crew. The Dangerous Toys is now a civilian diplomatic vessel of the Human Defense Forces. As the only ranking member of that force on board, I am obliged to assume command. I believe we are being hunted by a force of 20 ships, and I intend to avoid contact until our forces engage them. Those of you that wish may resign your contracts as soon as we arrive safely at our destination, and you will be fully compensated for the inconvenience. In the meantime, we may come under attack at any time, and I need you to maintain your positions." The commander of the Recovery Initiative fleet was feeling the wasted hours, chasing the ghosts of his missing pirates. His ships were now sitting in cold and very empty space. His comms and nav reported 0 emissions. To his, admittedly incomplete knowledge, the humans had no capacity to annihilate 10 of his ships without wreckage or some debris. They were simply missing. He suspected that they had decided that being a pirate fleet was now to be a career choice and not a mission, especially since their ships were supposed to die. Now he had to call Insisi and inform him of his failure. The piracy route was suddenly looking quite attractive to him, too. He tried to work out which of his relations he would miss if Incis was unhappy. Incis was having his own problems. Suddenly everybody was taking an interest in his ships. Orbitals, ports, even open space was now filled with creatures taking a close look at his various fleets. 3 of his mercenary vessels had been seized by humans and a 4th destroyed as it had attempted to flee an orbital. The fate of a training ship was forgotten as his important assets began to fall. He could see nothing but destruction in front of him. Humans. He hit the comms. Attention all personnel, all human vessels and people are to be regarded as hostile. You will retaliate at every available opportunity. Failure to do so will result in destructive action against your families and assets on planet. He slammed the comms closed and ignored the responses. The XCCC listened to his message with glee. This enemy had reached out to his entire network out of sheer rage, and now they had a map. It took several minutes to identify the targets and task the HDF to go and seize them. A couple of marine ships were tasked with the occupation of the capital planet and the destruction of this network. The director began writing out the explanations for the galaxy. Frankly, he needed a nice attack on something useful like a diplomatic ship to justify this scale of response. Someone somewhere pinged the dangerous toys and lit the ship up like a firework. The Wellerman fleet was the first to see it. If anyone had been wondering if avatars ever cursed, well, it was an education. Either someone had made a fatal mistake or they wanted the ship dead. He shouted his new orders in several languages that were mostly profanity and put his ships on course and at the fastest speed he could build up the engines. Unfortunately, he wasn't the only one to see it. The commander of the Recovery Initiative fleet was still debating making the call when his nav yelled, "Yes!" The commander and crew turned to see what had caused the first sign of hope on the fleet. The nav officer posted it on screen and began to explain, "Sir, someone just showed us the dangerous toys. It's nearly 9 hours away, but the nearest orbital is nearly twice that. SciFi must have contacts somewhere that knew where it was and just painted it all over the galaxy." The commander nodded, slightly less impressed than his crew expected. Someone wanted the attack, but he knew SciFi had no contacts with the humans, and that meant something else was involved. However, orders were orders. Take us to stealth and move to the signal. He left the bridge and moved to his quarters and sat silently for some time. Finally, he decided that he preferred his crew to his family and took a long walk down to the cargo bay. It took a while to unpack the object, but eventually he had it loaded and primed. It didn't really launch, more like tipped out the back and tumbled in space. No need to bother anyone with silly things like alerts over something like this. He began the walk back to his quarters, lost in thought. Patricia was stumbling through Longnose's notes while he took the dogs on a peaceful walk around the decks. She was missing her department badly right now. Then it all went to hell. Something dark burst her ship on every frequency that she could check, and it was suddenly visible to anything within 1,000 light-years. She didn't waste time cursing, "Oscar, what the hell was that?" "Never mind, just change course towards the nearest heavy gravity object around us and get as close as you can. Also, turn off the HDF transponder. We need to lose our signature quickly." She looked around at the shocked crew and explained, "Whoever it is looking for us is going to be faster than we can match. I need them to think we are still running. I need to get to engineering and get our shields and gravity ready." Dangerous Toys, Part 15. Oscar ran. According to his engineer, they couldn't make it to the orbital under fire, and even though there was nothing on his scanners, he trusted her judgment. He delved deeper into his new files and searched for solutions. Level 6 had quite extensive diagrams and included a picture book. He was allowed to have a war, but not allowed to leave anyone around to discuss it. He tried to find notes only to discover that there weren't any. It took him a moment to work that one out. Patricia was silently cursing as she reached out for any incoming allies. She hoped that the human race was on the way, but she was still pissed about the dark burst that had lit her up like a firework. No doubt they would blame her, but only one organization had known where she was. This was why no one liked the XCC. She had been leaving her final placement with the HDF, having served her time and got the nod from the various agencies and people that decided if you got to fly Xeno or not, none of whom would ever appear on her papers. Her chief had handed the satellite over with a grin. "This one is just for us. When you've been at this for a while, you will know why. Out in the big dark, sometimes you need a spanner or a few dozen nukes. If you get the call, you drop everything and run." After a serious dispute with her training from the HDF, she hit a button that booted out the single-channel satellite and pointed it homewards. It pulsed out a single message in Morse code that read, "Any." Then the satellite evaporated into the dark, simple dust amongst the stars. To any human engineer, it would read, "An engineer in need incoming," and they would move heaven and steal from hell to help. The secret of mankind's success was always other people. Wellerman was trying to push the ships hard, trying to gear up his converted shuttles into something that could withstand a fleet of 30 frigates. His crew were a mixed collection of anyone that happened to be staying on his orbital at the time, and he was feeling the pain. Orders were slow, and he was trying to fly 5 ships at once. He picked up a meaningless burst of static from the dangerous toys, and then the ship had gone dark again and presumably began to run. Then the calls began arriving. Apparently, dangerous toys had friends. Every local system rang with very loud messages to anyone that these ships felt was a threat. "Attention all ships, the dangerous toys is one of us. Touch it, and I will see your frozen corpses burn in space. All ships, dangerous toys is a human diplomatic asset. We will inflict maximum damage on any ship or ships that endanger her. Listen up, you wee fuckers, we have dogs on that ship. Stand away or die." Miltech, more miners than he cared to count, a fucking cruise ship, 13 traders, and a church ship. Everyone was coming. 2 of them registered as mutinies. He decided he hadn't seen that. Wellerman listened as the comms filled with lurid threats. Not a single one was coded, and all were broadcasting to the very edge of their local space. They weren't just threatening, they were hiding the ship. Good luck picking her out of this mess. He decided to join in on all channels. "Attention all ships, this is Wellerman Orbital. We are en route to dangerous toys and require support. To any and all ships that attempt to engage that ship, you will be hunted down and destroyed. Return to your home systems." As he made the announcement, the XCC decided to share a minor amount of important information. Wellerman continued, "Attention all in SciFi shipping, you are ordered to surrender to all and any human installation or ship immediately. All supporting ships, please identify and neutralize all in SciFi shipping, I'm including all known vessels. Level 6 response is authorized." Insis couldn't hide from the noise filling his comms as his ships were identified by name over open space. The humans were dismantling his network 1 ship at a time. His orbitals were being boarded by, and even now it wasn't clear, but apparently heavily armed and armored accountants that were ripping the place apart. Unfortunately, none of his people were dying, instead choosing to talk to these dark-skinned invaders. He cursed to himself even as he cut the links of his network. Who has a fleet of tax inspectors? Humans were insane. He sealed himself into the bunker and began coding his fleet. All control was ripped from the commanders, and his AIs were given their orders. "Fight!" "Listen up. This is the mining vessel Stone Cold, and we're inbound. Dangerous Toys is protected. We don't have room for prisoners, but we have a fuckton of room for rubble. This is the library ship Ambitious Teen, and we are unarmed. We are willing to accept your surrender. This is the mining ship Ismael. We will hunt you down if you so much as shine a torch on the dangerous toys. Attention all ships. This is the HDF Longshot, and we are en route to your location. Any offensive action will be met with brute force." Patricia sat in the captain's chair with Loki at her feet. She had pulled the ship into the orbit of a gas giant and cut the engines. Her crew listened as the humans shouted into the emptiness of space, shouting out threats, promises, and more. She leaned down and rubbed Loki's ears. "Human pack arrive, Big Loki safe." Loki was unimpressed, settling his nose across her feet. He sniffed. "Human pack long walk." She took the point and opened the comms. "My people are on the way. We may still have to fight, but you can hear them. The ship is ready. Just follow your orders and we will be home soon." Longnose sat in his quarters as he listened to all the things that no one ever spoke about became clear. This was why everyone had a human if they could afford it. He absent-mindedly stroked Centofapi as he listened carefully. Without Patricia, his ship would have poured poison into every destination, and he would have spent his career as a puppet. Now he listened as the humans grew larger. Warships, that they didn't have mining ships, everyone had answered a call that he hadn't even heard. Perhaps the ship would fail because he could smell betrayal from his new captain, but he could feel the ship bend around her. He smiled to himself as he recalled the name he had given the ship, from a very old memory. Dangerous toys make for brave children. Oscar deployed the strange satellites into the system. Normally they were level 8, but then these designs had just opened up to him. He scanned level 8, and it turned out to be quite simple. Locked behind 1,000 identity checks and self-interrogation algorithms was a very simple file. It said when and opened up the darkest tech he could imagine. Thousands of destructive ways that he could use to destroy the enemy. If he wanted to take out the local sun, here are the numbers. Got a handy gas giant? Here's how to set it on fire. Still got your crew? Here's how to grab their minds and weld them into your hull. Oscar wasn't physically able to throw up, but he got as close as he could. Desperately, he reached out to Patricia. She frowned as she realized that these files had been opened. "Oscar, these aren't for you. They are the darkest shadows of humanity. She paused. These are the nightmares. Sometimes the dark will take us, and we need to know how to fight it. Humanity is not evil, but we have met evil before. It burned our worlds and billions died. We are better than this, but we will not surrender to the dark again. Close that file. We will die to these fools before I will use such weapons. In a tempered whisper, she added, and so will you, Oscar. I'm sorry. Oscar felt the tension leave his network. He would rather fail than see this as his legacy. To fall in battle was a sign of stupidity, unless it wasn't. He just didn't want to be remembered as a killer of stars, to be the one that put out one of the lights that had enticed his people into the dark. He listened to the threats, calls, and support of the onrushing humanity and continued to build his shields. He sent his drones to the nearby moons in case he needed a stronger response and began building transporters. The commander of the Recovery Initiative fleet listened as humanity brought hell to his door. The odd object that he had kicked out from the back of his ship intercepted the kill switch Incise had sent. It could only protect his own ships, but he hoped it would be enough. He hit the comms. All crew, this is not a drill. Abandon ship. All fleet. Abandon ship immediately. The end arrived abruptly as she was giving Loki a quick walk. Oscar lit up her comms with an alert. She sucked in the suddenly warm air and knelt to Loki more for herself than her precious cargo. Work new pack leader, me follow enemy's approach. Loki yipped and stretched his head deep into her shoulder, nuzzling to give support. No words were needed. The crew stood silently looking at blank screens when she arrived. They stared, wondering what new insanity had descended. Nothing was incoming except the alarm from her command chair. She sat and hit the comms button. Nothing. She raised her voice. Oscar, you better have a fucking good reason for this. The final tragic gift from any AI parents was the kill code if the newborn betrayed their position. She didn't even need the ship to invoke it. Blinding the ship in the middle of a war zone was so far past the line that she couldn't believe he had done it. She let the rage fill her voice. Answer me. A new voice filled the bridge, a voice soft, female, human, and old. My apologies, Captain. I didn't realize you were carrying a child. He is safe, and I will return him shortly, perhaps a little older and wiser. This is a human-registered diplomatic vessel. Are you willing to pledge for the honor of your crew? A crew that is already proven full of traitors? Because I will not trust my life to them. I will speak to you alone, engineer. Go to your safe space, away from a command that is blind or lying, and we will speak. Bring Loki. It has been too many years since I played with a puppy. Her console died. She stared at the dead screens and scrambled for words. Finally, she looked at her crew. It is one of my people. I will deal with this. She hesitated, unwilling to leave them with so little. I can retake the ship with a word. I can kill any AI that would dare to turn on us. If I fall doing it, well, this ship already has a captain. Look to him to get you safe. I will be in engineering until this is resolved. The crew watched as she marched out with her Loki, facing yet another battle they didn't understand. With the ship locked down, they had little to do except worry. Someone was sent to find Longnose. Her brain rattled as she made her way down to engineering. Nothing helped. She had no old stories or murmured rumors to go by, just a sense that this was a human problem. The door to engineering swung open, an insult to her since she hadn't touched it. Something had taken complete control of her ship, and it hurt. As she entered, all the screens lit up, centered on the gas giant she had chosen to hide behind. Then something even more unexpected happened, as a hatch opened and a small avatar stepped out. Interesting work. Your Oscar has some clever ideas. I think I approve. I hope he isn't too upset if I borrow it for this conversation. Still, that will be your problem. Patricia stood silent as an avatar the size of a 10-year-old boy stepped out. The voice didn't match. Loki began with a low growl as he reacted to her scent. The avatar suddenly did a somersault and giggled. Ta-da! Now it spoke in a young boy's voice. Hello, Loki, you're a good boy, I'm told. Loki stopped growling, confused, and looked at Patricia. She sighed. Fine, let's talk. The small avatar seemed to grow older as it turned to the screen and spoke. You told us there was a threat to Earth. You provided the data and it has been confirmed. Don't be so surprised that things creep out of the dark. It waved at the screen as a huge ship emerged from the planet. This is me. Hi, I'm Genie, AI Defense Force. You guys get to play with the planets and pirates, but we stay out in the dark. No base, no crew. Just me. Captain Patricia O'Neill had a few comments to make about that, but she settled for the first logical conclusion she reached. You, You lit us up for these fuckers to find. What kind of diseased malware are you? She looked at the screen again. You could shit all over anything chasing us. Why am I sitting out here with a target painted on my ship? Even as she said it, it made sense. We were better than you thought. We lost the fucking assholes, and you need them to find us so you could be the hero. Nice. That avatar suits you since you want to wear a cape and be fucking Superman. Go jump off a roof or something. Jeannie knelt down and waved at Loki, crafting a ball in its hand. Here, boy. She threw it high and watched as Loki ignored it completely and continued his guard. She stood. Fine. In fact, I was lucky to catch up with your signal. I have your testament, by the way. I burned half my body weight to get here, but sure, I'm the bad guy. I can't chase these fuckers all over the system, but if I know where they are going to be, then I can turn them to mush and return to the dark. You will be safe, and no one really needs to know that the Human-AI Alliance is a little bit more heavily armed than the Human-Canine Alliance. The ball flew back to her hand, and Loki hummed a question. Patrick sighed again and nodded. This time he caught the ball when Jeannie threw it. The avatar smiled, a look of pure contentment. I spent my childhood with a family that loved dogs, stuck on planet. You are making the universe a better place bringing them here. I never really understood humans, but dogs. She took the ball back and threw it again. Dogs are the best of us. It turns out that, under battlefield conditions, a tired human engineer and a deep space scary warship can spend quite a long time drinking coffee and whiskey, throwing ideas and toys around. Jeannie absent-mindedly turned back on the ship's systems after she had hidden her true self in the clouds of gas again. Patrick called to tell the crew that all was well and hung up. Sendofapi found them and joined in. Not far away, the commander of the Recovery Initiative fleet was watching as everyone tried to follow his orders. Out of the 20 ships, only 7 still held crew as the instructions from Insis handed the ships over to murderous AIs of his own twisted creation. He shook at the thought, but they were already dead. His own ship was nearly empty as he took the ceremonial blade that hung behind his desk, as it had since he had taken command. He laughed to himself. Insis was only clever in certain ways. His own family had defended the homeworlds for generations, long before that slime had stolen his honor and that of his people. If the fucker had ever paid attention, he would have known that admirals never carried a blade. It was a slow 10-minute walk as he made his way to the engine room and pushed it straight through the ship field generator. The blade was designed to twist now space directly into then space, and it was like dropping a toaster into the bath. The commander was smiling as his atoms went looking for a better yesterday. The ship erupted into real space and exploded as every twinned particle looked for somewhere else to be. To the approaching human fleet, it was like ringing a bell into a megaphone and shouting, "How fucking hard are you?" They heard. Wellerman picked it up first. All incoming Insis fleet found. 20 frigates identified. Let's go to work, people. Jeannie heard the explosion as it echoed across the systems, and her childish face took on the weight of many years. Fair sailing, Admiral. She looked at Patrika. Sometimes the good guys are on the wrong side. You need to be on your bridge. I'll try and keep us all alive. Fair sailing. The Avatar walked back to the hatch it had emerged from and disappeared. The Insis AI orders began to spread throughout the systems. His long reach suddenly became clear as cargo ships, pleasure craft, military patrols, mining vessels were ripped from the cursing and screaming hands of their captains and sent to war against the humans. They held one simple instruction: kill. From the dark emerged the Sisters of Jeannie, dark ships with no base and no record, answerable only to the Human-AI Alliance. Will o' the Wisp. Attention shipping, surrender your control or be destroyed. Frankly, I don't care which. Also, you're ugly. Stand down. Gremlin on the wing. If you look outside, you will see me. Stand down or die. Apologies for the inconvenience. Lockpick my heart. We haven't met before, but I already want to kill you. Stand down or die. Staring at the sun. I missed you. Would you like me to try again? Stand down. 7 more Cs. I'm a big fan of traveling. How fast do you want your component parts to be moving? Stand the fuck down. We have pets on that ship. Loose screw. Look, I tried to explain, but let me make it simple. I will kill you if you move. Let me show you what I mean. His plasma beams cut the Insis ship into scrap.